I'm really tired. I've been awake since 4 a.m. and I did some Pilates and some weightlifting today, and then I went to work, and I feel like I had a good day at work. Nothing terrible happened, but it's been a long week, like really long week. And let me snatch that from her because she's not gonna let me do my game until I do. I have a note here of things that have happened to me the past 2 weeks, and there's a lot of things on here that I wanted to talk about in this video, but I don't know that I want to talk about them, and not because I'm not comfortable talking about it, but I moved past it. I'm really tired and I really don't even want to make this video right now. I'm like super out of breath, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, been out all day. It is now 8:30 and I just barely got home, and I left my house at 7:50 a.m. Been out more than 12 hours now. But I'm tired, but you know, I owe it to myself to show myself disciplined enough to post a video for myself, because I said that's what I was gonna do and I have to stick by it, so I'm gonna do it. I've been feeling super emotional these past 2 weeks because I feel like I've connected to higher source, God, universe, himself, herself. I feel like I've connected to my highest version of myself in the 5D realm, and there's this leap of faith that I've been having to take, and there's a lot of things that are holding me back from taking that leap. I don't know exactly what it is or why it is, and these past 2 weeks I've been thrown a lot of tests and a lot of rewards, and I've been had a lot of things taken away from me. This girl. But yeah, this past 2 weeks, I had an engagement ring that I was holding on to for a while because I was scared that if I closed that chapter, I would have no sense of validity for what happened during that time. And I know that I don't need anything really to validate that, because I know what I went through and I know what I learned from it and how I grew from it. So for me personally, I was just really scared to let go of the ring because it symbolized a period of time for me where I went through a ton of heartbreak and a ton of tears, and a ton of growth came out of that. But I'm also at the point where I'm ready to accept new things. Or at least when I decided this, I decided that I was at the point where I was ready to accept new things, whether that be completely unexpected or expected, whether it's romantic or platonic love, or a new role in a job, or a new place of living, just different things. I am ready to accept change, and I welcome change. And I realized that by me holding on to that ring, I was holding on to the past, and I wasn't welcoming what is meant to come into me. You have to make space for new things to come in, and by holding that ring, I wasn't making space. So I got rid of that ring. I cried so much over it, but I'm on my way to healing something that I kind of grew up with that I didn't realize was something that I was hurt with, and that specific relationship triggered that, and I had to work through it. It was really hard to work through it, still working through it, but I feel because of that I went through a spiritual awakening where I was literally having to heal my inner child. And because I'm healing my inner child, I'm always tired. Like, all I want to do is just sleep all the time. And like, I have to force myself to go to work, and I've been having to force myself to get out of the house, and I've been having to force myself to go to work because all I want to do is just sleep, and I just want to get rest. And yeah, it's been really hard to go through the transformation because there's a lot of things I've had to shed, like from friends to different hats I was wearing. And I had to heal my fear of solitude. I am not blaming anybody, but I grew up with this fear of being alone and being left for reasons I'd rather not go into, but that was my inner child that I had to heal. And until I decided that I no longer wanted that to be my reality, that's when I started doing things to actively heal that person. So I started doing things alone. I go to dinner by myself. I go out dancing by myself. One thing that I never was able to do was go to HEB by myself. And I've done it now. I'm doing it now. And that's how I'm healing myself. But a fear that comes with me healing has been the fear that I'm becoming hyper independent. And I've noticed that that was an issue when it came to me accepting. Yes, I got rid of everything that I needed to get rid of to make space for new things. But when it came to accepting new things, because I was growing to become very hyper independent, I had become very stonewall to accepting help and accepting gifts and accepting love and receiving compliments. And I was just closed off to it because I don't need that. I got it myself, you know? So now that's something that I'm working through this as of right now, is just the fear of being too independent, because my baby. Okay. No more playing. Yeah, I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's, as a woman, I shouldn't have to be hyper independent. Like, I should be in my most divine feminine energy and being independent. Of course, like, I can do it, but I need to learn to accept help where I can. So that's what I kind of wrote in my notes, just basically that, long story short. I started looking at pictures of myself before I cut my hair, and funny enough, like, as cliche as it sounds, I don't recognize that girl. Like, I really don't recognize her. I look at pictures of her, and while I thought, you know, pictures from December, November, pictures from October, I thought she was healed. And I thought she was the best version of herself. And I didn't realize how much more I still had to grow and how much more I'm going to keep growing. And I don't know, I look at those pictures of myself and I thought I was happy, and I was happy, just a different type of happy and a different type of growth. And I just don't recognize her. Like, I I don't know who she is. And yes, it's my face, it's my body, it's my hair, it's my persona being captured in a picture, but that's not me. So now I'm going through the test of people having to dissociate that person with who I am now, because I'm not her. It makes me really, really sad that I had to let go of being that person to get to where I'm at now. And while it was just a few months ago or a few weeks ago or whatever, oh fuck, why am I tearing up, bro? Well, it was just a few weeks ago, and like it hasn't been that long. I really don't recognize her. And it's crazy to see how much I don't feel in tune with her, because I detached from that version of myself. Earlier this week, I went through at my job a really scary situation where I'm very fortunate and blessed that it didn't get worse than it should have, than it could have. And in the moment, with adrenaline going, I didn't think anything of it. But coming out of that situation, I realized how much I was scared for my life in that moment, and I was scared for other people's lives. And that day I got in my car, and instead of being angry as to why I was presented with this situation, I let out the biggest cry, and I thanked destiny and universe and God above all for putting me in that situation, because that was the perfect event for me to test my intuition and how much I trust myself to make decisions for myself. I feel like in that moment I learned and validated and confirmed that I no longer need validation from other people, and I no longer need to reach out to other people to talk, or not reach out, but I mean, like, I'm capable of making my own decisions and standing firmly and grounded with them. And that was like the biggest test of my intuition, and I didn't realize it until I got in my car, and I was like, I trusted myself. That's something that I had to work through for a really long time, how to trust myself and how to guide myself through life situations. No, I'm having to do life by myself for right now, and sometimes making decisions for myself has been really hard, because I don't know how it's going to affect my future self. And when I had a partner, it was easy to make decisions because I had someone to talk through decisions with, and it was a decision that we mutually had to weigh the pros and cons, and you know, it felt easier to make decisions with somebody else versus for a while making decisions with myself. Fuck, I said I wasn't gonna cry, bro. But I'm such a crybaby. I cry over everything. I cry over, like, dude, I was crying out of happiness today. I got some really good news, and I couldn't hold myself from crying, and I like walked back into work, and everyone's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm happy." I can cry over everything. But yeah, making decisions for myself has not been the easiest, but being put in a scary situation, like, had me feeling like it's okay to make my own decisions. Oh, baby, you want to play? it like gave me such confirmation that it's okay to make my own decisions and it's super easy and I can do it. Might take me a while, but I can do it. And yeah, it was great. It was great. That moment, like, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget how scary it was to be in that moment, but I also will never forget the after, how grateful I was to have been given the opportunity to be in that moment. And I used to be the kind of person who was always angry with universe and with God. You know, I had to switch my mindset on losing amigas, because when it happened, when I lost amigas, I was very angry with God and universe, because how is it that I was 18 and doctor said I would never have a kid, and here I am, almost 3 months pregnant. Didn't know it, first of all, but I lost amigas. How was it possible? And I was just so angry with God, and for a really long time I just was so angry with the world, because why would you take something that I've always wanted? Being 18 and being told you would never have kids, like, be so for real. I was like stripped of the idea of ever being a mom, and that's something that I had always wanted to be. And I was just so angry with God for a really long time. I was so angry with putting, like, why me? Like, why? I never understood until I changed my mindset and I looked at it as I'm blessed to have had amigas, because now I've learned a new type of love that I never thought I would know. And now I know how to better take care of myself, and not like pregnancy wise, I mean just in general, like emotionally, how I dealt with that type of grief. Like, now I know that I learned about myself, you know, like I learned how to take care of myself through that. I was probably doing stuff I shouldn't have been during the time that I was pregnant and didn't know it. And, you know, losing amigas was probably like a way for me to stop whatever I was doing that wasn't healthy for me. So when this scary situation earlier this week at my job was presented to me, I decided not to be angry with universe and with God. Whiskey. I decided not to be angry, and instead of saying why me, or I could have almost died, I instead was thankful for the opportunity to have learned that I can trust my intuition and I can trust myself. When I don't even know what I was saying. I keep getting this I don't know. Like, I just want to cry. Like, I just want to cry so much. When I was 17, like 10 years ago or something, I ran the Austin Marathon, and I ran 26.2 miles before I was 18. Like, that's amazing. And I remember when I was training, the whole time, the like full 16 weeks worth of training, like, I was just always so ready to give up. Like, I always wanted to give up. And I didn't realize how much discipline had to go into training to run a full marathon. But, you know, 17-year-old me really wanted to finish a full marathon. For whatever reason, I can't remember what was the reason, but for whatever reason, I wanted to finish it. And me puse la idea that I was going to run a full freaking marathon, and I didn't. I have pictures, and it's kind of crazy to look at them sometimes, because Who would have ever thought 17-year-old me would have ran a full marathon? But I did it. And recently, I had been thinking about how for a while I felt very stagnant. And I felt like I couldn't keep going. Felt like I was hitting mile 23. When you run a marathon, most runners who have done a marathon, they will tell you that mile 22 to 24, maybe even 25, are like the hardest miles you will get to. And I don't know what it is about your brain when you hit those miles that like just tells you like give up. But I remember running the marathon at 17 and I hit mile 23. I remember mile 23 being the hardest mile for me, and not physically but mentally. God, the discipline that you have to go through and the demons that you have to fight in your mind to keep going, to reach mile 26.2, to cross that finish line. Mile 23 was the hardest mile for me to run. And I got to a period recently where I felt very stagnant. Like I was going nowhere. Like nothing was working for me. Like everything, the world was against me. And I'm trying to push through and be positive. And for a really long time, I felt like I was at mile 23. And right now I'm hitting the beginning, the beginning of mile 26. And hopefully next video I can explain why I'm saying that. But I'm at the beginning of mile 26. And while this is not my last marathon I'm running, if you know what I'm alluding to, I'm super excited for my next race. I'm super excited to see what the next hurdle is going to be. And I'm super excited to get to the next marathon. I'm so excited to get to the next journey, the next major event time of my timeline that I have to go through to teach myself more discipline and faith and trust and love. I'm so excited to get to that next chapter in that next era. And I'm hitting mile 26 and I see the finish line. And I'm sprinting, baby. I'm sprinting.